Now, the Southern African Transport Conference has heard about the need for collaboration as a key ingredient that will take the region's maritime sector into global heights. It had the importance of this and much more about the work that's being done by the South African International Maritime Institute. Let's discuss some of the outcomes now with the CEO, Odwa Mtati. Good evening, Odwa. Thank you very much for joining us here on eNCA this afternoon. Can I begin here just to give you an opportunity very quickly? Your institute, what do you actually do as the South African International Maritime Institute?
We have three strategic objectives. One is maritime advocacy, which speaks to the promotion and the understanding of the maritime sector. The second one is maritime research and innovation. The third one is education, skills development and capacity development, wherein seafarer training resides. So that's what the Institute does.
And what was your message to the recent Southern African Transport Conference? Because South Africa is blessed with a very long coastline, and sometimes we get the sense that we're not really taking advantage of its length and what it offers us as a country economically.
Our message was focused largely on seafarer training. Seafarer training, we all know, is a very old trade, but it has needed to repurpose itself, reimagine itself, and place itself into the future. So this is how the process of seafarer training takes place in South Africa. One, we have got programs that are focused on high schools. These include learn to swim and learn to sail, because we are of the view that seafarer training is a broad profession. So that's the one part. The second part, we then focus on the promotion of the understanding of the ocean's economy and what opportunities it presents. And that happens through a website called Dive In, as well as an app, which both are zero-rated, to allow people to download them for free. Then post-matric, there are three institutions, Mandela University, CPUT, as well as DUT. Those three institutions train seafarers specifically. Now, the method that we have engaged in as a country for the longest of time was to try and provide training opportunities, which is the work integrated learning component, that once they graduate from these universities, they then go on and practice within vessels throughout the world. What that has not always translated into is, on completion of training, has been the lack of opportunities, because we must remember that South Africa does not have a large ship registry, which requires that students or cadets are placed in. So our process demands that we place students all over the world. So that's where we are. Yeah. But at the conference, part of the emphasis has been on the need to join up the training for cadets, qualify them, and then work with potential employers that those cadets find employment opportunities.
Are you able to find, or are you seeing that they're able to find opportunities beyond our shores?
The geopolitical activities has had an impact in respect of the interest in South Africa. Because before, you would have found international companies recruiting in Eastern Europe. Now, with the ongoing war there, they're looking for other sites wherein they can recruit from. And South Africa has been identified as such. That's why between ourselves and other SAMSA, the regulator, SAIMI, and SAMTRA, we've signed an agreement with the International Maritime Employers Council, one for training opportunities, And secondly, for a key consideration, which is the employment of those that would have qualified.
Yeah, so is that why you believe collaboration, therefore, will be key?
It is important. That's why, part of what we are focused on is that the country, similar to other sectors, would get across the Ocean Master Plan. It's in draft phase now, and we've seen how the master plan process actually works for the auto sector and so on. So that, the oceans economy is kept as an important contributor of the GDP, within the country. And seafarers do contribute a large proportion of that, because wherever they work in the world, they send money home, which, does help much.
Yeah. I don't know what's your view on technology. Earlier you mentioned an app, for example, but that's just a platform that's being used. Technology can be embraced maybe as well to boost the opportunities for seafarers.
No, indeed, that is the case. So we've seen now the proposition of autonomous ships. Now, what that means is that those that are being trained at the moment would have to navigate and manage vessels, perhaps from land. Therefore, it is important that people acquire the required technical skills in the first instance. The second one is that with the advent of new fuels, whether that is ammonia, hydrogen, the use of batteries, you can't skill people in the old way, because there are going to be new skill sets that are required. So it is important that the education system matches up into the future in order to prepare those seafarers for that world in which technology is a key feature, alternative energies are also a key feature.
Yeah. So regionally, you've got the likes of Maputo Port, Luanda Port. Does the Institute also tap into their resources or use them as well to assist? And finally, what's the role of a company like Transnet?
Transnet is a key partner. They even sit on the SAIMI board, because part of the intention is to create for the country a seamless exercise. A country with limited resources like South Africa can't afford parallel systems. So coordination and working together are critical. So we need to have a uniform system for the country, as well as seek to collaborate with neighboring countries. It is of no use, to compete and go hard against each other when the development ought to be continental. Because, once development takes place in a particular country, you are able then to develop the economy of that country. So you limit all other social and economic challenges if you only have development that is centered in a single country.
Okay, no, thank you very much for your time and explanations. We wish you well in your work. That's the CEO of the South African International Maritime Institute, Odwa Mtati. Now,